Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about something powerful yet often misunderstood, the impact of your absence. It's easy to believe that when you step away from someone's life, it goes unnoticed or doesn't carry much weight. But the truth is, your absence can create a void that speaks louder than any words. When you quietly remove yourself, you leave a lasting impression, and that silence begins to echo in ways they may have never anticipated. Let's break it down. People often take for granted what's readily available, assuming it'll always be there. When you're constantly present, offering support, laughter, or even small, everyday interactions, others can come to rely on that energy without even realizing it. But the moment you step back, a shift occurs. Suddenly what seemed so ordinary now feels like a loss. They may not admit it, but the space you leave behind forces them to reflect on your value. This isn't about playing games or manipulating emotions. It's about recognizing your worth and protecting your energy. You don't have to chase after someone to prove what you bring to the table. Sometimes the best way to make someone realize your impact is to let them feel the silence you leave behind. And that silence, it's often filled with questions, regrets, and a newfound appreciation they may have overlooked before. Remember folks, self-respect is key. If someone doesn't see your value, you have every right to step away. Your absence can be a powerful reminder that you're not just someone, you're a person who deserves to be cherished and appreciated. So take a moment to honor yourself, trust in your worth, and know that sometimes silence truly speaks volumes. Let's get started. Number 1, the void left behind. Imagine this. For a long time, you were their go-to, the person who brightened their days, brought comfort in tough times, and was always there when they needed a shoulder to lean on. You were their source of light, the presence they'd come to rely on, often without even realizing it. But one day, things began to shift. They took you for granted, or even worse, started pushing you away as if your presence was guaranteed. And that's when you made a decision, a quiet, powerful choice to step back. The moment you stepped away, something changed. In that instant, you created a space, a void that only your presence used to fill. At first, they might not even realize it. They might carry on with their life, thinking everything is the same. But with time, something begins to feel different, almost like a missing piece they can't quite put their finger on. That void, your absence, starts to echo, and slowly they begin to feel it. This is the power of your absence. It's not about causing pain or seeking revenge. It's simply a reminder of your worth, a silent statement that you won't stay where you're not valued. And as that void grows, they may start to see just how essential you were, how deeply your presence impacted their life. The things they once overlooked now stand out. The light you brought, the comfort you gave, the consistency of your support. All of it becomes undeniable. So, remember folks, your presence is valuable, and sometimes stepping away is the only way for others to see it. Number 2, the subtle ways they feel your absence. Your absence doesn't scream, it whispers. It doesn't demand attention. It simply lets the quiet settle in. And in that quiet, they begin to notice. They notice the empty inbox, the silence where your laughter once was, and the subtle emptiness in moments that used to be filled with your presence. The loss of your texts, your unique sense of humor, and the comforting feeling of someone who truly understood them. It all begins to weigh in little by little. Maybe they find themselves scrolling through old messages, reading conversations that once felt casual, but now feel precious. Or perhaps they stumble upon a reminder of a memory you shared, a photo, a place, a song that brings them right back to those moments when you were there. It's in these subtle, unexpected ways that your absence makes itself known. And each reminder carries with it a hint of regret, a gentle ache that starts to grow louder as they realize what they've lost. The things they once took for granted now feel irreplaceable. The warmth you brought, the understanding you offered, the support you gave unconditionally, it all becomes painfully clear in your absence. They begin to realize that your presence wasn't something ordinary. It was special, something that brought meaning and depth to their life. And with each passing day, the regret deepens as they recognize the value of what's no longer there. So, folks, let this be a reminder. Your absence holds power. It's a quiet strength, a way of showing your worth without a word. If someone doesn't appreciate your presence, let them feel the weight of your silence. Number 3, absence as a mirror to their actions. Your absence doesn't just leave a void, it acts as a mirror, reflecting their actions back to them. Without you there to fill the silence, to bridge the gap, or to smooth over the rough edges, they're left to confront the reality of their own choices. For perhaps the first time, they have to sit with the emptiness and ask themselves how things came to be this way. It's in this quiet space, free of your presence, that they start to see the consequences of how they treated you. They may brush off the feeling at first, thinking it's just a phase, but over time, your absence becomes a powerful teacher. The silence around them begins to weigh, pressing in on those unresolved questions and lingering regrets. Suddenly, the ways they took you for granted, the times they pushed you away, or the moments they didn't appreciate you enough come into sharper focus. It's no longer about you stepping back, it's about them coming face to face with what they contributed to the loss. Absence has a way of illuminating what words alone never could. It forces them to recognize that relationships require care, respect, and effort, and that when those things are neglected, even the most steadfast connections can dissolve. And in realizing this, they come to understand the weight of what they've truly lost, the support, the understanding, and the genuine connection you offered. Remember, folks, sometimes stepping back is the only way for others to see the truth. It's not about punishing them, it's about honoring your own self-worth and allowing them to learn. Number 4, the longing for your presence. As time goes by, they may attempt to fill the void you left, distracting themselves with new activities, surrounding themselves with other people, or diving into busy routines. Yet none of it truly fits. The unique warmth, the comfort, and the genuine connection you offered can't be easily replaced. Your presence was more than just companionship. It was a source of support that they now find missing in ways they hadn't anticipated. It's in those quiet moments, when they're alone with their thoughts, that the absence truly hits. They start to realize the difference between mere company and a bond built on understanding and care. They miss the small things, the way you listened without judgment, believed in them when they didn't believe in themselves, and cared without conditions. No amount of distraction can replicate the feeling of having someone who truly saw them for who they are. It's only now in your absence that the irreplaceable nature of your presence becomes clear to them. The laughter, the advice, the loyalty, each memory begins to surface, reminding them of what they've lost. And that's when the longing sets in, a desire to have you back, not just as anyone, but as the person who once brought so much light into their life. The reality is, folks, that your presence isn't something just anyone can replace. Sometimes people only come to appreciate its true value when it's no longer there. And while it may be too late for them to undo the past, you can take comfort in knowing your impact was meaningful. Think about it like this: you don't always realize the warmth of the sun until it sets, leaving behind the chill of night. In the same way, your absence acts as that sudden nightfall. It makes them aware of what they've lost, the companionship, the laughter, the understanding. It's only now, in the quiet of your absence, that they feel the weight of it all. Number 5. Silence as a declaration of self-worth. Choosing to stay away isn't easy. It requires strength and clarity, and it speaks volumes about your self-respect. By stepping back, you're sending a powerful message, not just to the person you've distanced yourself from, but to yourself as well. You're saying, I'm not here to be taken for granted. I'm not here to be treated as an option. In doing so, you make it clear that you value yourself too much to remain where you're not truly appreciated. Your absence becomes a statement of self-worth, a silent declaration that you won't settle for less than you deserve. It's not about being vindictive or trying to punish someone. It's about protecting your peace and honoring your own needs. You're drawing a boundary, showing that you won't tolerate disrespect or neglect. And while they may not immediately understand, your absence forces them to reckon with their actions and the consequences of their treatment of you. Sometimes, the most impactful message isn't the one you say, but the one you don't. Silence can be a powerful teacher. It's when you step back, stand firm in your self-respect, and refuse to lower your standards that they begin to see just how much you contributed to their life. They may have taken you for granted before, but your absence gives them the space to reflect on everything they've lost, the support, the care, and the love you freely gave. Remember, folks, you're not just sending a message to them, you're sending one to yourself too. You deserve to be valued, and sometimes silence is the loudest declaration of all. Number 6. Absence and inner growth. In your absence, you're not just making a statement to them, you're creating space for your own growth. While they are left to confront the silence you've left behind, you're using this time to focus on yourself. It's not just about what they're missing, it's about what you're gaining. By stepping back, you give yourself the freedom to rediscover what makes you happy, to heal from past wounds, and to reconnect with the things that truly bring you joy and fulfillment. This time apart is an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more self-assured. It's a chance to reflect on your own needs, values, and goals without the distraction of someone else's influence. As you grow and evolve, you're learning to prioritize yourself, to trust your own judgment, and to build a life that's no longer dependent on external validation. While they may feel the sting of your absence, you're busy creating a life that stands on its own. You're no longer waiting for someone else's approval to feel worthy. You're reclaiming your power and nurturing your own sense of self-worth. And as you do this, you begin to realize that your happiness and fulfillment are in your hands, not in anyone else's. Absence, in this sense, becomes a catalyst for personal transformation. It teaches you that you don't need anyone to complete you, you're already whole. The time you've spent apart is not just about them learning to appreciate you. It's about you learning to appreciate yourself, to embrace your own growth, and to stand firm in your own value. So, folks, remember, your absence is not just a void, it's a fertile space for your own transformation. Number 7. The regret that follows. Eventually, regret finds its way into their heart, creeping in quietly at first, but growing stronger with time. As the days pass, they begin to replay moments in their mind, the conversations they took for granted, the small gestures they didn't appreciate, the times they pushed you away or failed to show the care you deserved. They start to question their actions, wondering why they let someone so valuable slip through their fingers. The longer they sit with this regret, the clearer it becomes they pushed away someone who genuinely cared for them, someone who was there when it mattered most. They begin to see that your presence wasn't something ordinary. It was rare, it was important, and it was a gift they failed to fully recognize until it was too late. Your absence doesn't just leave a void, it becomes a constant reminder of what they took for granted. It's the thought that lingers, the feeling they can't shake off, no matter how many distractions they try to fill their days with. They may try to move on, to fill the space you left with other people or things, but nothing compares. The weight of regret becomes heavier as they realize the depth of what they lost. And this regret is not just about missing someone, it's about the realization that they were given a chance to have something real, and they let it go. Your absence is a reflection of their own choices, a reminder that actions have consequences. They can't undo the past, but the regret will remain, teaching them a valuable lesson that may come too late. So folks, remember, your absence has a lasting impact. It's a weight they can't easily shake off. Number 8, the silent message your absence sends. Your absence doesn't need explanations. It speaks louder than words ever could. It sends a clear, silent message. I'm worthy of respect, loyalty, and kindness. By stepping back, you're not begging for attention or chasing after someone's validation. You're showing that you value yourself too much to stay where you're not fully appreciated. Without you having to say a single word, they're reminded of the qualities you embodied: your kindness, your loyalty, your ability to understand and support. These are the traits that once made you irreplaceable in their life, and now, in your absence, they begin to feel the weight of what they lost. They may not have recognized your worth at the time, but now the silence speaks volumes. As the days pass, they start to understand the value of the connection they took for granted. The laughter, the care, the unconditional support. They realize these things were not just given, but earned, and now they're gone. And with that realization comes a deep sense of loss, an awareness that the person they lost was someone who brought real meaning to their life. Your absence isn't just a void, it's a reminder. It's a lesson in self-respect and boundaries. Sometimes the most powerful message you can send is the one you don't say. Number 9, when they finally reach out. At some point, they may reach out, perhaps with an apology, perhaps trying to rekindle the connection. But by then, something has changed within you. You've grown. The silence, the space you've created, has allowed you to rediscover your strength and self-worth. You've learned that your value isn't tied to their regret or validation. You now understand that your happiness and peace are your own responsibility, not theirs. By the time they reach out, you've realized you're no longer willing to be someone's second option or backup plan. You've set boundaries and reclaimed your power. If they want to reconnect, it's on your terms, not theirs. Your absence has taught you the importance of respecting yourself first and foremost, and you're not willing to compromise that for anyone. You've built a life that doesn't depend on their approval, and that peace you've cultivated is something you will protect. Whether they come with an apology, a plea, or a simple desire to reconnect, you now see the bigger picture. You know that you deserve to be treated with the same respect and care you give. So when they reach out, remember that you've already made the most important connection, the one with yourself. And now you have every right to protect that peace and to decide if their presence is truly worth inviting back into your life. Number 10, embracing the strength of your absence. So remember folks, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply walk away and let your absence speak for itself. You don't need to chase after anyone, explain your actions, or prove your worth. Your presence alone was enough to make an impact, and if they couldn't see it before, your absence will make them feel it. Walking away isn't about running from the situation, it's about showing respect for yourself and acknowledging that you deserve more. It's about making a choice to prioritize your peace, your happiness, and your self-worth. Let them feel the space you leave behind, the void that only your presence once filled. If they truly valued you, they'll eventually recognize the significance of what they lost. They'll come to understand the depth of your contributions, the warmth of your support, and the genuine care you offered. And when that realization sets in, it will be because your absence has given them the clarity they needed. You don't need to convince anyone of your value. Sometimes walking away is the loudest message you can send. If they want to understand, they will. If they want your back, they'll need to earn it, and only on your terms. So, embrace the strength of your absence, folks. Let it remind you of your worth and the power of setting boundaries. If this resonates with you, let your absence remind others of your worth. Your silence can speak louder than words, and sometimes that's the only way they'll truly understand. So if this message resonated, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let's keep growing and finding strength within ourselves.